everyone, so today we'll be talking about solar panels part 2, the pros and cons of solar panels. So if you watched my first video on how do solar panels work, then this is kind of like a sequel to it. And if you haven't watched that video, you can watch it over here. And this is kind of like a sequel to it. Here I'll be talking about what are the pros and cons of solar panels. Okay, so a solar panel is a device that can convert sunlight into electricity, which we can use. So a solar panel is made up of these parts, which we call photovoltaic cells, and they are the ones that are actually doing the job of converting the light to electricity. Okay, so there are two types of energies, renewable energies and fossil fuels. Renewable energies will last forever, they will always be there. Solar energy is an example of a renewable energy because the sun will always be there. Unless you think that the sun will one day burn up, and it will burn up, but that will be only 7 to 8 billion years later. Then we have wind energy, hydroelectric energy, geothermal energy, and biomass energy. Fossil fuels are the total opposite. They are non-renewable energies. They will not last forever. Examples are coal, oil, and natural gas. Okay, so now let's talk about the advantages of solar energy. So we'll be talking about the environmental advantages and the economic advantages. So let's talk about the environmental advantages. So the first one is that solar energy is renewable, and that one we already covered in the last slide. Then we have solar energy is green, and by green I mean it's eco-friendly, it's good for the earth, because solar energy does not produce any pollution, unlike other fossil fuels. So it's good for the earth. Now let's talk about the economic advantages of solar energy. So the first one is there is no electrical bills. Now that's a pretty obvious one because you don't have to pay for solar energy. It's free, you don't have to pay for the sun. And there's little to no maintenance needed. The only the only place where you'll actually need to pay is for the installment. After that, it's all free, unless you want to clean your solar panels, but that's not too hard. Okay, so the next one is that solar panels have various applications. They can be used in satellites orbiting the Earth or for your house. Okay, so the next one is the financial incentive. So the government gives financial incentives for the installment of solar panels. And financial incentives are basically money that the government will give you because you're using solar panels. Okay, so now let's talk about the costs, the disadvantages of solar energy. So we'll be talking about the environmental disadvantages and the economic disadvantages. Okay, so the environmental disadvantages of solar energy. The first one is birds often mistake large solar panel farms for lakes. And it kind of makes sense because they kind of look like lakes. Then the next one is pollution produced during the manufacture of solar panels. So to understand this, we have to observe it more deeply. So a solar panel is made up of silicon. And silicon is taken from quartz, which is taken from sand. So the byproduct of the complex processes to turn the quartz into silicon is called silicon tetrachloride. And silicon tetrachloride is very, very bad for wildlife. Its chemical formula is 4 chlorine atoms and 1 silicon atom, and it's very bad for wildlife. If you breathe silicon tetrachloride, it's a fuming air, and if you breathe it, you can have lots of breathing problems. So what most solar panel companies do is they just take this silicon tetrachloride like a waste product and just dump it into the land, the wildlife, and this can affect the wildlife very badly. However, there's a good thing that you can actually turn this silicon tetrachloride into silicon to use, and this process is kind of like recycling it. And more recently, companies have started doing this. Okay, so now it's fun fact time. And the fun fact right now is, did you know that a solar farm is also called a solar park? Okay, so now let's talk about the economic disadvantages of solar energy. So the first one is the cost of installing solar panels is very expensive. So we have something we call EPBT, which is the energy payback time. And the energy payback time is basically the time it takes for your energy source to make the energy to provide the energy that is equivalent to the amount of energy it took to produce it. And the energy payback time for solar panels is 1 to 4 years. Okay, so how much energy does a solar panel produce in kilowatt hours? So the amount of energy used for a solar panel to produce, so basically a kilowatt hour is the amount of energy used to power 1000 watt appliance for 1 hour, and a solar panel will provide you 1.24 kilowatts per day. Now the average person uses 29 kilowatt hours per day. So 29 over 1.24 kilowatts is going to be equal to 24 solar panels needed. So you'll need 24 solar panels to put on your roof to provide for yourself. So what countries use solar energy? Well, so here's my map, and the number 1 is Germany. Then we have China, Japan, Italy, USA, France, Spain, Australia, Belgium, and South Korea. Okay, so now let's go closer into the United States of America and talk about the top 10 countries that use solar energy in the United States of America. Okay, so before we do that, however, let's look at the energy usage in the United States of America. So 89% of energy is used by fossil fuels, and those are coal, natural gas, petroleum, which is the liquid form of oil, and the nuclear. And then the renewables are only 11%, and of that 11%, 23.8% is wind, 21.7% is hydroelectric, 1.8% is geothermal, 43.5% is biomass, and only 9.1% is solar energy. And 9.1% of 11% is just 1.001% of total energy usage in the United States of America is solar. Okay, so back to our map. Let's look at the top 10 states. So the number 1 is Arizona. Then we have Hawaii, Nevada, California, New Jersey, New Mexico, Delaware, Massachusetts, Colorado, and North Carolina. And it makes sense to put in the west of USA because that's the most sunnier place. So let's pick a random state in USA. Let's say Wisconsin. And Wisconsin has 2 major solar farms. And those are, it has one in Beloit of Rock County, Wisconsin, and that's actually the largest solar farm in Wisconsin. And then we have one in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, in Manitowoc County. And that's not the largest, but it's a big solar farm. Okay, so thanks for watching, and these are my references. And you can watch my first solar panel video over here, and the link's also in the description below, and our wind turbines video over here. Bye!